Hey guys, today is the third devlog of Brawl. Since the last devlog, which was published almost 4 months ago now, we added many new features in the game, so we think doing this devlog today is very important. Firstly, we will see the changes and all the progress we made with weapons. Then we will introduce you the enemies and how they work. And lastly, we will look at the progress we made with levels and tiles. So, to begin with, we decided to remove this sword because we think it is not well integrated in the cyberpunk style. So we decided to replace it by grenades. So now we have 3 states: the fist, the grenades and the rifle. For the fist, you can't do nothing with them. It is just like the idle state. But for the grenades, you can see on the screen that you can throw them and they will explode just after they land on the ground. You can also see the explosion animation, which was very interesting to make. And for the rifle, you can now shoot with it by pressing left click and it will throw bullets, but there is a trigger which limits the number of bullets shooted to avoid spam clicking. We integrated all this in the code by creating classes like grenade, bullet or even explosion, and once we call one of these classes, the object created is directly added to a Pygam sprite group. And with the weapon working, we also integrated some very important variables like heals. You can see on the screen right now the heals bar as well as his little animation. We also added the ammo and the number of grenades, and like you can see on the screen, they are decreasing when you are using your rifle or your grenades. We also added damages. Bullets are making 25 damage to enemies and 15 to the main player. And if you are around the grenade when it explodes, you lose 50 HP. But all this number may change someday, when we will adjust and equilibrate every statistics in the game, and we also think about adding different difficulties, which could change all the statistics depending on the difficulty you choose. For example, if you choose easy difficulty, enemies will not do many damages on you and it will be easier for you to kill them, while if you choose hard difficulty, you could take a lot of damage and it will be harder for you to kill enemies. So this is all for the weapons. To sum up everything in this part, we removed this sword and replaced it by grenades. The 2 weapons, grenades and rifle, now work and you can use them. And finally we added everything about health, damages, ammo and number of grenades. Now let's talk about enemy. We created the first enemy, like you can see on the screen, and we created 2 animations for him, idle and run. He doesn't need the jump animation because he will never jump, and we didn't create all the animation with weapon because he will only shoot with his eyes. We also created a new animation, the death animation, because now that we have health, when the health drop to 0 or less, you can't move anymore and the death animation starts. So we created this death animation for both enemy and main character, like you can see on the screen right now. The enemy works like an artificial intelligence, but in fact it is not a real one. There is just 2 parts that make the enemy looks like an artificial intelligence: the movement and the shot. For the movement, they are determined randomly, so they can turn direction, stop walking, keep walking, and all this by using the random library. Now for the shot part, the enemy have a rectangle in front of them, which can be seen as their vision. And if the player enters this rectangle, the enemy will automatically shoot. You can see on the screen right now how we made this sort of artificial intelligence inside the code of the game. It is directly inside the character that already exists, but this part is only active for enemies. And by the way, we also integrated 2 debug functions. The hitboxes by pressing F1, and as you can see, it shows the hitboxes of every character on the game. And the second function is the vision of every enemy by pressing F2, and now it shows the rectangle representing the vision of every enemy. To integrate the enemies to the game, we made the same thing as the bullets, grenades and explosion. We created an enemy sprite group using Pygam, and whenever an enemy is created, is added to this group. To sum up everything about the enemy, we created a new character with all animation that come with, and to make it effective, we created a sort of artificial intelligence that can make him move and shoot the player when he is seen. Now let's come to the levels and tiles. Firstly, we added a new features, which are the collectible boxes. There is 3 types of them: the ults, the ammo and the grenades. Once you walk up on them, it gives you the bonus that correspond to the box. For example, if you walk on the ult box, it will give you 50 HP. If you walk up on the grenade box, it will give you 3 grenades. And when you walk up on the ammo box, it will give you 15 ammo. You can see on the screen right now the part of the code for the boxes, and we made the same thing as grenades, bullets, explosion and enemy. We created a Pygam sprite group, and whenever a box is created, we add it to the group. We also started to create the first levels of the game. We don't want to show too much of it, so we are just going to show you the first steps of the first level. For sure, they are made with the level editor that we introduced to you in the last devlog. And about the level editor, we updated it by adding the new tiles, for example the 3 box that we talked about earlier, but also the enemy and the main character. We also updated the readme file that comes with the level editor. It now shows every rule that you need to respect if you want to create your level. So this is all for the levels and tiles part. To sum up everything, we introduced the new feature of boxes, and we started to create the first levels using the level editor that we also updated. So this is all the progress we made since the last devlog. I think we worked pretty well and the game is starting to look great. In the next month we will firstly try to finish the first level and equilibrate them. Then we will integrate the load of level in the main game, which will be a very important and long part. And lastly, we will try to finish the game by adding sounds and the menu. So this is all for this third devlog. If you are interested in the project, you can follow us. If you have any ideas, suggestions or tips, you can leave a comment. Thanks for watching and see you later in the next devlog.